We go live to Ukraine and Joseph Lindsley. Joe, I was just talking about how disgusted I was and sad to see the picture of the church in Odessa that was bombed by the Russians. That must have hit a lot of people there hard.
Yeah, Bob, and good afternoon from Kharkiv. I would say people are pretty shaken by those scenes from the early hours of Sunday morning in Odessa. And meanwhile, as I speak to you now, I'm still in Kharkiv, just about 30 miles from Russia. It's 76 degrees, beautiful, breezy summer day. Right before we started talking, the air siren sounded. So once again, we are under an air alert. And as we talk, I'm checking the various channels to see if there's reports of incoming missiles. This morning, we've had many air alarms here in the northeast of Ukraine and also in southern Ukraine. I can't even count how many alarms we've had today. But so far, all of those alarms were triggered by simulated Russian missile launches, which they do to confuse, stress, and tire people in Ukraine. So there have been no major attacks this morning. Through the night, though, the Russians did attack the Odessa Oblast, the Odessa region. They hit the Danube River, the famous river that goes through Vienna and Budapest, also goes through Ukraine, where it meets the Black Sea. And Ukraine, after Russia broke the deal that allowed Ukraine to export grains to the Black Sea, Romania, which also shares the Danube with Ukraine, said that Ukrainians could use trains and trucks to bring grains down to the Danube River to export via Romania and down the river through Europe. And so last night, the Russians hit some of the main warehouse infrastructure on the Danube in southern Ukraine. So they really are targeting that the food supply, which feeds so much of the world. But then I guess back to the main topic that really has shaken people is, again, it was in the early hours of Sunday morning. It was a major Russian strike on Odessa, as they've done almost every night for the past week. And they sent a combination of 5 of the Onyx missiles, 3 X-22, 5 Caliber cruise missiles, and 7 Iskander missiles. And, Odessa has not been hit very often since the full-scale invasion began. And the air defense in Odessa is not like it is in Lviv and Kyiv. And so the interception rate is not great. And we saw that in those early hours on Sunday, the Russians hit the Orthodox Cathedral of the Transfiguration, which is actually part of the Moscow Patriarchy. This tells us a few different things. One, the fact that the church was still operational. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories in American media saying that Zelensky has banned priests and banned the Russian church. That church was still operating, even though it is still affiliated with the Moscow Patriarchy. The Ukrainian authorities have gone after a small number of those Moscow-affiliated priests who they've accused of being spies. Not all of them are spies, and there's a lot of complexities there. The Moscow church is not popular with Ukrainians. It was in some regions, including Odessa, before Russia's full-scale invasion, but not these days. But the fact is that church was still operating. And the second thing is that, there should have been worshipers in that church. There would have been on Sunday morning. And instead, part of this church still stands, but inside, so much of it is collapsed. And people rushed in to rescue the sacred icons. Women came in to sweep away the debris. But instead of being able to worship there, they couldn't because Russia attacked it. And then thirdly, Russia tried to blame that on Ukraine. And it's amazing, the Russian propaganda, I think because they're used to, they can get away with this in their own country. And so they don't realize that people are more critical around the world. But Russia said that the church was destroyed because of a failed Ukrainian air defense missile, which of course misses the point. Why was the air defense engaged? Because there was a massive barrage on the city. But if you look at the two different sort of interesting things behind the scenes, there were messages on Russian Telegram and social media before the strike talking about Ukrainian air defense attacking the church. And then some of these messages, they try to write it in Ukrainian, but the Ukrainian grammar is not Ukrainian. because the Russians are writing this. So there's some evidence that the Russians did directly target the church. In fact, it was a direct hit upon the church. And so maybe this is one of Russia's, signs, trying to make it look like the Ukrainians created this mess. And the other thing, the fourth point about this is, Odessa it's such a beautiful, lovely city. It's protected by UNESCO. This great architecture. Russians love to visit it. Many people think that the Russians wanted this city for themselves. And the fact now that Putin and Russia, they are attacking this lovely city by the sea, shows that, I think, perhaps shows that as Ukraine is holding on, Russia has to deploy, Russia has to try to up the ante and do things that maybe they didn't want to do at first. They thought they could have this city for themselves, and now they try to destroy it. And I think it makes a real possibility, Bob, that even Lviv, which is such a beautiful city as well, which is home to sort of the Ukrainian cultural heartland, that even Lviv could be attacked as Russia sort of gets more and more desperate. And it's very interesting that the mayor of Odessa, Hennady Trukhanov, many Ukrainians outside of Odessa have long thought that he sympathized with Russia. Odessa is a Russian-speaking city. There's many Soviet-era monuments there. The mayor defended those monuments in the past. The mayor was actually arrested just a couple months ago by Ukrainian security services. He's on bail now, so there's a lot of complicated things there. But very forcefully, yesterday, the mayor recorded a video in the Russian language, which is what they speak in Odessa, and he addressed the Russian people. He said, "If you only knew how much Odessa hates you, not just hates you, but despises you. You know us Odessans very poorly. You will not break us. You will just make us more angry. You are creatures without kith or kin, morality or values, without future." And then he said, "The strength of our defenders, multiplied by the anger and pain of ordinary people, will be your death sentence." And then the Russian-speaking mayor of Odessa said, "Slava Ukraini."
Nice.
Glory to Ukraine.
You know what I hope for, talking about that church in Odessa, I was recently in Malta off the coast of Italy, and there's a church there, a beautiful church that was bombed by the Germans during World War II, and they left part of it, one of the ceiling tiles, they left it damaged as kind of a memorial to that. And also people come to see the spot where miraculously the bomb missed some very important religious artifacts there. Wow. And landed off to the side of it, and it's become a tourist attraction and a monument to the people of Italy.
Yeah, it's good you have to preserve some of these memories of the atrocities, and they did that in London after World War II. And this church was rebuilt because Stalin destroyed it. The Russians previously destroyed it in the 1930s, and so they've rebuilt it again, and I know they'll rebuild it once again. So
yes.
Anyway,
let's hope that day comes soon. Joe Lindsley in Ukraine, and until tomorrow, I hope you have a peaceful 24 hours.
No explosions yet. Thank you, Bob. Until tomorrow.
Keep it that way.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?